Alrighty, so welcome everyone to our second catch up for the Lead Hership mentoring program for 2024. So following on from the onboarding a month ago, I guess I'm keen first of all to check in and see where you're all at, whether you've had a chance to connect with each other and what sorts of I guess conversations and highlights and revelations you've had in the past month. And then we'll get into the vision and goal setting session today that I'll facilitate. So I guess to kick off, does anyone want to start us off as to what you've been up to in the past month?
I'd like to,
sorry, Rita, you go.
I just want to offer an apology to Laura. I actually lost the email with your phone number, so I haven't connected. I do apologise.
And I'm going to apologise to Rita.
Beautiful. I love it.
Because I've been very recalcitrant as well.
And I'm going to apologise to both of you because we haven't connected as a threesome yet. And I just sent a message half an hour ago to hopefully to make sure that you're both on tonight. So it's great to see you both.
Excellent. And this is part of why in the feedback from the learning from last year as well, doing these sessions gives us that structure and accountability so that if we don't have the opportunity to catch up in between, that we've got this as our anchor to come back to. And so, we were just talking, when we all got on the call around just the madness that is March and Easter and April and everything. So, don't feel bad, I guess is what I want to say. And find just, that's the beauty of there's no judgment here. We're all heavily committed humans in our lives. So finding the time to connect with each other now, and maybe that's something that, off the back of tonight's call, the key will be to find some time in the diary, and maybe that's something that you can do before you jump off the call tonight.
Now, the other thing is a follow-up for Marnie. I was the celebrant for her dad's.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marie.
So that went really well. Excellent. And I'm glad to have been able to do that. And the other big news was I finally, after 3 weeks, managed to get my cover and my spine on my book right, and it's gone live on Amazon.
Bravo!
Congratulations!
Woohoo! Oh, that's awesome! How exciting! So we were fledgling, almost published a month ago, and now we're there.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
I will make
my
sure
two grandchildren will get the very first prints hot off the press. I got too excited and I bought 2 from Amazon, but what I didn't realise was I was buying them from the US platform and not from the Australian one.
I know.
They don't get them until next week, but yes, they're excited to get them because they're going to take them to school and share them with their teacher, because my granddaughter's already told them all about her grandmother, the novelist or something.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, that's so good. Make sure you share the link in the chat so that the rest of us, if we're wanting to purchase one, we can do that.
Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. Great update. Thank you. And I realized as well that one of the other people that's missing tonight is Sarah. So she sent me a message to say that she's not up for it tonight, but she'll watch the recording. And she and I had the opportunity to have a face-to-face catch up. We met kind of the halfway point at Burpengary, and just had a really rich conversation. We met at 10, and before we knew it, it was 12:30, and we had to go to our various other appointments. But it was one of those kind of, we could have sat there all day and chatted. So it was just a really great connection point, and exchanging of information and tools, and talking about motorcycles, and because both of us ride, and it was just one of those really cool catch-ups, and kind of offering each other that support as well as that sort of direction in terms of setting up businesses and taking the leap and backing yourself to do that. And yeah, so that was sort of my, the first sort of tick in the box situation for me as well. And that the week that I chose to take off my day job enabled me to do that as well. So that was a real gift.
Lovely.
Beautiful. Cass, did you want to go next?
Well, I was going to go first because I don't have much to report. Zoe, Beck, and I tried. We even booked an appointment, and then Beck couldn't make it, and yeah, we came so close.
Oh, it was so close. But I just thought right now we could have met up. It didn't occur to me in that moment, but Cass, we could have still met up. It's occurring to me now.
So my threesome's Marnie, and there was like no way that Marnie in that week was going to be in it. So Sarah and I just did our thing, and we'll loop Marnie in at some point. So yes, you're right, Zoe. You
yeah.
I was so threesomes. You can also do twosomes.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So have another go.
A brain between us.
And it's like I think being able to honor the energy that's there as well, and if it doesn't work, that's also okay. Like it's being able to
totally understanding of things needing to change, but also I was so excited as well because it felt really close to happening, which was I think a little bit of the difficulty last time was trying to lock something in, but no, great, we've got that in our mind now to do. I was thinking too, when I watched the onboarding video, I was quite interested in Sarah's journey too. So I thought, I don't know if
absolutely
that is a possibility as well. But I want to meet with Cass and Beck, make that happen first. They're my priority.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I think there are some synergies there, Zoe, with the journey that Sarah's on. And the core of her business is essentially a directory for people like health and wellbeing. So she's definitely on the way, but very fledgling still. Like building that up and bringing stuff in and manifesting what she wants there. So yeah,
it's very cool. Yeah.
Very cool. And Stacey, how has your month been? Have you managed to connect with anyone? Is there any support that we need to provide you to get you connected?
Well, actually, Sarah and I are hopefully meeting up next Wednesday. We've had a couple of moments where we've had near misses as well, because we're both building directories. So it was more of we could support each other in that one.
Swap notes.
Very cool. But no, really, it's been a little bit hectic on all fronts for me over the last little bit. Accidentally kind of overcommitted myself a little bit and then was like, whoopsies.
Accidentally. We do that all the time.
Accidentally on purpose didn't say no.
Yeah. I got like one of them, for example, was like, I don't think I have OCD or anything like that, but I really love organizing things and I love system implementation and procedures and policies and stuff. And I joined the Pine Rivers Chamber of Commerce last year, just on the committee. And I was like, that's cool. I know lots of people in Pine Rivers. I want to be able to help make it great. What do you bloody know now? I'm the secretary and I'm rewriting everything.
Does that sound familiar, Cheryl? Does that sound like something?
Absolutely, very familiar. Yeah. Give a committee job to a busy person and watch them go.
Right. But my two business-wise that I'm doing, I have actually had some very good news on both of them. Neither of them are like 100% confirmed, but I don't think one of them will need a paper agreement anyway. The one that I'm still going to work on actually closing is my 12-year-old and I are building a youth mental health app called Friend in My Pocket. And it has both a proactive and a reactive approach to youth mental health. So the proactive is, 3 to 5 daily affirmations, beautiful I am affirmations. And then if the user wants to, they can then take a mental health check-in, and it just asks, where's your head at, where's your heart at, where's your health at? And then depending on where they answer through there, it would then be saying, right, well, it looks like you might be really struggling. We suggest you talk to someone. Do you want to answer these next couple of questions? And we'll tell you who the best persons to talk to, because I don't know if anybody else here has had struggles with mental health, but sometimes when you are in the deep blue, it can be very hard just to, I don't even know what to do. I need to do something. And it can feel very overwhelming and very lost. So our hope is, with the app, is that it might be, if it's that they're having dramas with a kid at school, well, then they go to their year coordinator. If they're having dramas with their subject level, well, then they can go to their home group teacher or their guidance officer for mental health, that sort of thing. But the big news there is that I'm probably about 75% of the way of confirming a partnership with Headspace, National Headspace.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Holy wow, that's so good.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Because I was immediately thinking, like, where's the referral to the broader practitioner network as well?
Yes.
And that, being able to refer people directly to a professional.
Yeah. So someone, because it could be that they have already tried one of those pathways and they haven't gotten anywhere. So if we can provide them with lots of options, but it actually ended up better than what I was anticipating, because I was just going to be working boots on the ground with their local offices. Like, we just wanted to be able to, sort of send referrals to their local offices, but they actually offered to connect us to their online digital service resources, which is like, if the kid needs to talk in an instant, that's where we send them. So it went even better, but that one I am going to probably need to confirm on paper.
Definitely.
Paper is, funnily enough, as much as I love the organization side of things, the paperwork so much I kind of struggle with sometimes. But that's okay, I'll work through it. And the other business I'm building is the how to help with the directory of people who want to get involved with organizations or general good doing. And we have our directory through that. Because we're set up as a social enterprise, I have a passion to be able to create employment opportunities or education and training opportunities for at-risk youths. As much as I hate that terminology, because I was a little bit of an at-risk youth in my much younger years, was very lost and no education and didn't know what to do, and probably partied far too much and made all the wrong choices. And I was rescued by a traineeship in real estate, and that kind of got me back on the straight and narrow and got me, dedicated to learning again. Out of high school. So I want to be able to do that. But I realized that I'm not going to be able to actually create those offers of employment for, a while until I'm big enough to be able to do it. And so I am partnering with YDF, Youth Development Foundation, and Jerry Blackwell, where basically we will donate a percentage of our profits to them to be able to achieve their programs. And she has counter-offered that when they do have kids going through different resources and, grants or whatever not that they've got through the government, that she will then send her workers to me so that I can then train them up in what I'm doing and give them an opportunity to kind of learn all the different areas of small business. I don't think Jerry's very much of a paperwork person either, to be honest. If anybody knows Jerry Blackwood, she's not a paper person either. So I don't think we necessarily need that. But that's really exciting as well, because that means that I can actually start working towards achieving my social mission a lot sooner.
Zoe, you and Stacey are connected, or are you not?
No.
No, okay. Just with the question, so that the question that you asked at our club meeting around volunteer opportunities for your youth. So Zoe works. So Stacey, Zoe works at Kairos Community College, which is for
Yeah, right.
risk youth?
Explain who they're for. It's for
We don't want
at-risk
to use
youth,
that
like-
term.
I hate it.
Yeah,
That
so like
feels
Zoe,
so judgmental using it, but
yeah,
it's what the
I-
government.
I frame, so we're a flexi school. I don't see us as a flexi school necessarily, but and I frame it that we work with young people that haven't found success in a mainstream setting, because that is more reflective of their journey than any other way you would want to frame it. So that's my like go-to line. Yeah.
which is a completely different empowered frame. So it's
It is,
basically
isn't it?
saying the person's success, you know, and it was similar to when my son was struggling and he was in a Catholic education system structure. And I basically said to my husband, they don't have a product that suits our son.
Mm.
So like we're paying for an education that doesn't match his needs. So we helped him find an education and a training opportunity through TAFE into hospitality. So
Yeah.
he then did a tertiary level education equivalent and degree through that way. And that was the product that suited our child or young man by that point. So yeah, I think it's but you know, also I'm just immediately thinking, Zoe, you were looking for, you have these incredible young people who are looking for volunteer opportunities and education and training opportunities, and
Yeah.
you two need to chat.
Yeah.
We could do a threesome
Yes.
or a foursome.
Yes, and even just that online platform and an app, yeah. So I've got a couple of little things that I'm tinkering with. Nothing that's off the ground yet, but not even close to off the ground. But yeah, a couple of things you've said, I'm like, oh gosh, it's almost like hearing somebody who's actually put into action something that, yeah, a couple of little passion projects I've got floating around. So yeah.
Oh, well, we can definitely hook up because at the moment I'm riding about 25 horses. So I wouldn't mind somebody else helping with the reins.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
It's like I feel like I'm
The mental picture was incredible there.
It's brilliant. I'm riding 25 horses. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, so very good.
Anya is sort of, isn't it? 25 horses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that should be the name of my self-titled book, like my autobiography should be
I love that.
riding 25 horses.
All at once. Yeah.
All at once.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so Cheryl,
Cass,
we haven't
can
had.
you introduce Zoe Brooke and I?
Sorry, what? What did you
Can
say?
you've got both
Introduce.
of our details?
Yeah, I've got Zoe's, I've got yours. I'll connect you guys.
Make the connection. Beautiful.
Set up a
Thanks,
date.
Cass.
It'll be a Friday, won't it, Stacey? Because is that when you have the time off, the day off?
Yeah, Thursdays and Fridays are better. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Cool. We'll work it out.
And Cheryl, what's going on in your world?
My gosh, you know, it's just been a weird month, and it sounds like it's been a bit weird for everyone.
Mhm.
So, you know, there's been some weird moons and stuff happening. So I don't know if that's something to do with it or not, but it does feel like
the
it's been
Ides, the Ides of March has happened. That
really
whole- the
unsettled
shifting
period.
of the axis of the earth, the sun's moved in the sky, autumn is here and winter is coming. So
Well,
absolutely.
I'm glad there's a reason for it, because honestly, it's been a bit of a crazy, just really unsettled feelings. But anyway, so what's been happening with me? Women's Network Australia have had a lot of events happening. So I was in Toowoomba yesterday for an event, and we've got events coming up in Sydney and Melbourne, and we've got virtual events happening, and we've got a magazine to produce. And so this is the sort of month that is one of those real doing months. Getting organized but also delivering, and I find them quite tricky months because you get so bogged down in the being busy. You know, you just can get through a whole day, like literally back-to-back meetings, or, you know, going to this, going to that, and find that your entire day has just been sort of well, it's gone basically. But also that sense of what did I actually achieve out of all of that? So yeah, if I can see Stacey going, yep, that's right. Yeah, and so
You got hijacked by 25 horses.
yeah, that's right. I think I got run over by a few of them.
Yeah.
That was the big issue. I wasn't riding them; they were running over me.
Yeah.
So look, I think it's really important when we get into that really busy phase to just block out a bit of slowdown time and just, you know, try to take in like what's coming up, but also what you've done, and then just slow down a bit, because I know that I do fall into that trap of, oh yeah, busy, and then that becomes your habit. It becomes your sort of go-to mode of operating, and it's really hard to unwind it. So I'm trying very carefully to just not get caught back in the mouse wheel a bit, but also knowing that I kind of am. So yeah, look, that's probably the main thing, is just being conscious that there's a lot of things going on for a lot of people. And yeah, trying to just make sure that I have a bit of headspace to bob up and take it all in.
Yeah, and to have no guilt about that. In fact, pride in allocating time for contemplation, reflection, slowing down, like jealously guarding that time, carving it out intentionally, and you know, keeping it safe and precious from everyone and everything that's trying to take it from you. So it's that sort of, yeah, how do you actually find calm amid the chaos? And really the answer is like,
Oh, I know a
carve
book
it out.
that's got that title.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, Marnie's.
Oh, it is.
That's
Funny.
right.
Okay.
That's right. It's exactly right, but it is a good opportunity to do stuff like that, and sometimes it is deliberately, as you say, deliberately scheduling it in, or forcing yourself in all the busyness to actually do something where you actually were probably saying, I don't really have time to do this, but I'm going to. And when you do it, like the value of it is it pays you back. So
Tenfold.
yeah. So that's something that that I did yesterday, and I feel kind of a bit more grounded as a result of that. But yeah, there's definitely been something in the winds, I think, for everyone this last month. So if we're all feeling a bit out of kilter, yeah, it's those horses again.
Those goddamn horses. Alrighty, so thank you so much. Like, I mean, if we were to stop the conversation here, I'd already feel like enriched. That's where I'm at. So I'm hoping that you're feeling just the love of the being able to come to a space with other women and go, everything's exactly how it's meant to be. Everything is as crazy and awesome and upside down and beautiful as the worlds that we're creating for ourselves. So in terms of I guess the learning part tonight, I'll just bring up the PowerPoint slide. Slideshow. There we go. And now I've got to then figure out how to
share the screen.
Get to my actual Zoom and then share the screen. So the joys of that. Okay. So
I have started gardening. I've like refocused on my garden to cut out my quiet time. Yeah.
That's like proper grounding, like actually feet in the soil,
like proper
grounding.
Out there. Yeah. Pulling up weeds, deadheading some of the roses, that sort of thing. Just mindfulness, like I'm busy, but I'm not doing stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good strategy.
All right. So has everyone got the
fabulous
visual? Beautiful. Awesome. Okay, doke. So vision and goal setting. So I wanted to start with I guess did I go too far here? Hang on, go previous.
I love that. Why do we avoid setting goals? Oh, that's me.
Yeah, I know, right? So the first question I wanted to ask everyone is, what do we already know about goal setting? So I just wanted to put that out there first. What are all the things that we know about it?
One of the practices I've always done is always set goals, but also the challenge sometimes is you can set a goal, but all of a sudden you realize that that goal is not exactly where you want to go, and having the courage to turn around and walk away from it.
Oh, so good, Rita Marie. Thank you so much, because that is just one of my number one things with goal setting. I think most of us, have a thing about when we set a goal, we have to achieve it and we can't walk away from it. And there's plenty of times where if you've got that mindset around it, you'll stay on a path that you should actually not stay on. So that's brilliant. So like such wisdom. And, I learned that one the hard way, set myself an Olympic goal and, went headlong into that for 15 years of my life. And yeah, having set the goal got me to the direction I wanted to go, but there was a good couple of years where I kept on that goal when I really should have redirected it on another direction.
That's another thing. Yeah, goal setting too. A lot of people do it around, New Year's resolutions. I made up my mind about 10 years ago, not to set resolutions, not to make promises that you can't keep, because we set those unrealistic expectations. And I really do practice that through my goal setting. So I might start out with an idea in mind. For instance, for myself this year, I had this great big goal. I was going to increase my business doing celebrancy work. The universe has got a different idea. I've got a husband unwell. So it's learning to sit down, reevaluate that, and take a little bit of a step back and maybe go into a different direction.
So good. If you're not taking notes already, please do, because this is gold dust. Absolutely. Yeah. So realistic, setting the intention, and then sense checking the feedback you're getting from the universe around that goal, and paying attention to the signals that you're getting. I think sometimes what can happen with goal setting as well is we set an intention where we try to bend the universe to our will. And sometimes that is successful. Most times it's not. Most times the universe will just bitch slap us in the opposite direction. You're like, what? Or 12, 25 horses trample you on the way. You're like, God damn it, I thought I was in control of this thing. So there's a real, partnership that happens, with goal setting. What else? Anything else that anyone wants to add into?
Yeah, I think for me, it's that realistic thing where sometimes I call it, like the little ant who like wanted to move the rubber tree plants.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to do everything and I want it to happen now. Yeah. And I don't, So for me, I slowly became aware of that, especially moving more into the sort of solo entrepreneur world. Was like, holy crap, I really need to break this down step by step. And like, it's okay to have this really big goal, but there needs to be multiple small goals underneath it. And this is how I get to each of them. So I find it a lot easier to break everything down as much as possible into single steps. Plus, I do get a little bit of a kick of ticking off things on my to-do list where I'm like, whether it's up here or whether I've actually committed it to paper, I get that little bit of a buzz where I go, whoo, yeah, I did that.
Thank you, dopamine.
That's right.
Yeah, dopamine.
Yes. So I find I'm actually more productive if I break them down into smaller goals within those larger goals.
Yeah.
That kind of keeps me buzzing a little bit onto getting to the next step.
Absolutely. And so what you're also doing there is you're working with your brain, how it's designed and how it relates to time and how it relates to sequence as well. I think sometimes when we set really big goals without breaking them down, our
Yeah.
brain will relate to it as too big and too much,
Yeah.
and you'll procrastinate, or it'll just become this wish, this someday maybe nice thing
Yes.
that your brain can't really conceive of. So it just goes, oh, that's just something that they'd like to do maybe someday. And it's actually not really a goal. It's just this like idea. But I don't have a commitment to it, and I'm not, locked into it. So that can just not happen.
Yeah,
I
so
was
if it
fine all
doesn't
this
happen,
other-
it's totally fine. It's like I want to retire in Paris with a flower shop that also smells candles and chocolates, but it's not actually a goal that I'm committing to. But my gosh, it'd be super nice.
Wouldn't it be lovely?
But
Yes.
yeah, and I can picture it and I can imagine it and stuff like that, but I'm not actually committing anything to paper to achieve it.
No.
But sometimes, yeah, I get those loftier, big, grand ideas, and I'm like, wouldn't that be wonderful? But then I never actually follow through with breaking down the steps. And so it becomes this retire in Paris idea that's probably not going to happen.
No, it's really, really nice. It's a lovely idea that will never happen because it's not actually, it's not realistic. It's not tangible. It's not something that your brain can attach itself to. And it's not something that, that's often one of the traps, the biggest traps with goal setting that people have with themselves is they don't put there's not a time frame in reality around it. So at best it's a wish, or so like a goal is a dream with a deadline.
Is
If that
goal the
makes-
same as a
Yeah.
to-do list?
So
Is that kind of
no.
the same thing?
Well, okay. So this is another big thing, a myth that I like to dispel around goal setting. So if where are my to-do list people? Who's got your to-do list? Yeah. Okay. So if your to-do list does not have any dates or times attached to the task, your brain relates to it like it's a wish list. And if you don't take something out of that list and put it into reality, where you actually schedule and block time out in your diary, where you commit to actually taking it from an idea to reality, until such time as you attach a deadline to it, your brain relates to it like it's a negotiable thing that it may or may not get to someday, maybe.
So Fiona, I think it's so we goal set with young people twice a year. It forms a really big part of our funding, but it also helps build that capacity to set a goal and work towards it. And it probably takes a bit of the magic out of it, or maybe it inserts a bit of the magic, who knows. But basically a goal needs to be SMART, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time framed.
Yeah.
And so that's how we create all of our goals. And often because we do these alongside parents, I really move right away from ever setting a goal with a young person whose parent is coming up with those ideas. I always steer that back to a young person. I think you can weigh in. I think we have blind spots, and it's okay. Like parents might be able to weigh in there. But I think that's, one, it's got to be your goal, because I think it's idyllic, right? Maybe being in Paris selling flowers. So I don't think you probably want that, to be honest. I don't think that's not your passion or your purpose. It sounds idyllic for a while, and then you get sick of the pastries and you get sick of the coffee and you're like, all right, great, I've sold you some more roses, but actually I need something meaningful, and so it's got to be your goal, and then it's got to follow those SMART rules, SMART. Yeah.
Yeah, what was the M and the A?
So measurable and achievable. And that achievable one, I think, like, to begin with, definitely, like, obviously, but I think you can punch a little. I think it's important to punch with
a little bit of stretch. Yeah.
Yes, stretch. Yeah. Sure.
So, and probably the most important word of all of them is specific.
Yeah.
So often what happens is we fail to be specific enough the specificity is actually where the magic happens. Because if we're too vague or too high level or too big, or, you know, it's really difficult for our brain to relate to it in reality. And part of the process that I want to take you through is to give you a structure of how to design a goal so that it works directly with your conscious and subconscious mind, and you can install it into reality, into your timeline. So if you're willing to go with me on that journey, the design of it using the SMART structure is an excellent way to, particularly if you're wanting to map out, you know, career goals or goals that have levels of complexity and multiple layers and multiple steps to get there. That's a really good conscious mind process to go through. And there's a heap of stuff available. You know, if you typed in smarter goal setting into Google, you get, you know, heaps of web pages and lots of YouTubes and lots of different ways of approaching it. So it's a tried and true methodology, and not one I was going to bring up. So thank you so much, Zoe, for adding that, because that is a, you know, I just take for granted that everyone knows how to do a smarter goal, but you're right, they don't. So we're not necessarily taught this stuff. You kind of just forget because it's the world that you've already operated in for ages. So the specificity is key, and realistic time around, you know, that whole working within a timeline, etc. And the interesting thing with realistic can sometimes be where our own limiting beliefs about our capability or capacity can come in, where we can either overestimate our capability or grossly underestimate our capability. So that can be an interesting one to test and measure. And to what Rita Marie said earlier as well, around once we do set the goal, it's the being willing to allow the journey to unfold. So one of the final pieces that I kind of want to put into this conversation around goal setting is there's a very clear correlation between goals and time. And when you set a goal that has a specific deadline in the future, essentially what you're saying to yourself and to the world and to the universe is, I have a desired future state, future situation that I want to work towards. And you put that out there in the future. And the minute you commit to that as a potential possible future, there's a tension that's created that draws right back to the current, your present. So when you're working with goals, you're actually working with two time frames, your current state and your future state, your desired future outcome. And when it's installed well, that tension is enough to have you take action in the present towards that goal. And that is actually the purpose of a goal. The purpose of the goal is to give you a direction to move in and to have you take action in the present towards it. Now, once you've set the goal and you've created that tension and you've started working towards it, it then becomes like going on a journey in a sailboat, where at any one time, depending on how you're going and where you're navigating, you can actually get partway towards that goal. And Rita Marie, you can actually change your destination, can't you? It's like, okay, sometimes you have to. It's like when you set sail for the Bahamas, and you're like, we're going to the Bahamas, da, da, da. And you get as far as New Zealand and there's a hole in your boat.
Exactly.
So guess what? The Bahamas may still be the destination eventually, but you've got to change course and you've got to do a whole, you know, and there's this whole course correction that happens. So when you have an understanding that that's part of the process, and it doesn't mean that the original goal was wrong, and eventually you may still get to the Bahamas, but it's going to be, you know, there's going to be 5 or 6 more, 12 or 48 or 80,000 more stops between here and the Bahamas. And one day you'll get to the Bahamas and you'll be like, oh, this is lovely. Gosh, it was a long time coming. But if you hadn't have set the goal of the Bahamas in the first place, you wouldn't have even gotten the boat to go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yes.
So that's the purpose of it. And I guess, you know, this other next question around why do we avoid it? And Cass, you like cracked up laughing again. This is me. So do you want to take this one? Do you want to give us your greatest hits of why you avoid setting goals?
Because I never achieved them.
Yes. So here's the thing. This is the transformational piece, the gift that I want to give you. And everything else.
I'm ready to receive.
Goals aren't meant to be achieved. That is not their purpose. Just smash that myth. Goals are not meant to be achieved. That's not why we set them. When you can understand this, it will transform the way you do goal setting. So the purpose of goals are to inspire and motivate, to set direction, and to drive action in the present towards a desired future. That's the purpose of the goal. Whether you achieve it or not is irrelevant. It's the setting of the direction and the taking of the action that matters. Because Rita Marie, can you tell us, in your experience, when you set a goal and you start moving in that direction, the beautiful, weird, almost magical woo-woo thing that happens where you actually get given what you really needed instead of what you thought you wanted?
Exactly. Well, just writing books. I never thought I would write my first novel. And here I am now, I've written a second one. I'm not saying I'm this famous author, but I've achieved something that I have set out to do. Cassandra, I'm going to challenge you on your I never achieved my goals. I happen to know that you're part of Jackie Nagel's stable of speakers.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, I would love to aspire to that. I just don't have the money to do it, but you've achieved that. So that's one of your goals that you've actually got to the end. I think the other thing I learnt working so long in the funeral industry is sometimes we've got to look for the hidden gems in what we're doing. It's not just about, achieving your goal. It's about setting the intention, but it's that old saying of it's not the destination, it's the journey that you take along the way. So
yes,
we all achieve our goals in a lot of ways, and I think we forget that. We get too caught up with, oh, I failed because of something, but you need to sit down and reflect and go back over on what you do.
absolutely. And, you know, my version of that was I set myself an Olympic goal and never achieved it. So I qualified twice and never got to go. So because I failed to achieve an Olympic goal, I negated every other achievement along the way. So for about 5 years post-sport, I related to myself as completely failing and completely forgot that I represented Australia 5 times in 2 sports.
Exactly.
So if I hadn't have set that level of goal, there's no way I would have gone to 2 Commonwealth Games and 2 World Championships. And
exactly.
Yeah. So
it's that remembering.
And the trap is this: a goal is not a success measure.
Oh, love that.
It's not a success measure. You can't measure your success by the goal. You can only measure your success by the journey and what you learned on the way to a goal.
Wow.
That's a big one. So
personally for me, I'm like 66 this year. I had no formal education past grade 8. So when I went on, and I used to sit back and stare at myself in amazement when I went on and I became a manager and I could talk quite knowledgeable about my job. And I used to sit and really say, oh, well, I never had an education, but really I had a lot of life skills and I learned a lot along the way. So it's not just about having the degrees behind you or anything like that. It's just knowing the will to do it and enjoy the journey as you're having it.
Mm. And it wasn't until I could acknowledge what I did achieve
Yes.
that I could reclaim the whole journey and go, oh, actually, it wasn't ever about achieving the goal. I mean, if I had have achieved, you know, what's interesting too is if I had have achieved it, that's all I would have talked about. And I would have lost the beauty of all of the other stuff, all of the richness of all of the things I learned about myself on the way. So yeah, a goal is not a success measure. The success measure is in the action that you take and the results that you produce as a consequence of striving and working towards that goal that you set.
Fiona, I think another part, and you could probably reflect in your journey, that if you had have achieved it, sometimes you find it's not what is cracked up to be anyway.
No,
So,
it would have just been as empty in different ways. Yeah.
Because then you get to an end point and you
Now
go,
what?
well, now what? What next? Because I spent all this time and energy and focus to get to this point, and now I'm here, and it's not actually as great as I thought it was going to be anyway, and there's nothing beyond this. So it can be quite a fall if you actually do, achieve that goal. I don't think we should though imply that goal setting isn't a positive thing to do.
Absolutely.
But it is just this reframing that it's not all about focusing on that black dot. It is that the black dot is what's propelling you forward from where you are now. But that should be moving constantly in different directions.
Absolutely. It's not a fixed position. A goal is not necessarily a fixed state or position. It is malleable and movable based on the journey that you start, and it's that thing, like for me, the analogy of a ship or a boat is such a great one, because you can change, if you're navigating in a boat or a yacht or whatever it is, if you change your course by 1 degree and you multiply that 1 degree by 6 months, you're in a very different destination to the one that you set just by course correcting by 1 degree either way. So if you think about it in those terms, it allows you to navigate through the sea of possibility of what you want for your life and where you want it to go. So I'm going to introduce you now to a process that I was taught, which changed the way that I think about and how I do goal setting. So this is about setting goals using your whole self. So tapping into your physical, mental, emotional, and energetic self. We will engage with our timeline in order to do it, and we'll charge the goal with our life force energy and intention. And there's a direct correlation and observation between how installing a goal in this way creates a tension between your current present experience and then the future present that you desire. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to actually use a very specific structure to design the goal. So in terms of the rules, so it must be within your control. So that's aligns with realistic, time-bound, measurable, like those elements of the SMART structure that Zoe suggested. We must have a clear evidence procedure. So by evidence procedure, what I mean by that is we need to be able to take a snapshot, a moment in time of something in reality that if we saw it in that moment, it would confirm for us that we'd achieved the goal. And I'll give you an example to show you what I mean in a second.
Please.
We're going to leverage our imagination through visualization. So that part of our brain, that's imagination, that we can use to visualize what this future desired state is going to be. The time frame for a goal is always now, because when you think about it, when you achieve a goal, it happens at the moment that you achieve it. Yes. So when you write and you design a goal, it must be crafted in present tense language so that your brain can relate to it like it's happened or happening in that moment now. And if you relate to it that way, you can install it at that future point in time as if now. It'll make sense when I give you the structure in a second too, so stay with me. And
are you seeing all these really confused faces? Because my eyebrows are like jumping off my forehead.
Yeah.
What?
So no desired action is too great or too small for a goal. So for the purposes of tonight's session as well, it could be I'd like for you to come up, if you've got something that's really obvious and it's really like immediately your brain's like, I've been looking at this and thinking about it, it's easy for me to come up with this one, please use that. If it's a bit harder and you need a bit more time to structure it, maybe you could play around with something really simple, that's achievable in the next couple of days or weeks time, something that you need to do, that's a simple task that you've been procrastinating over or you've been resisting in some way. And what you're going to do is you're going to use that as a way of just simply installing that goal for next Wednesday at 4 p.m, for example. And it's just, it's a small example of how you can use this process to point you in the right direction and to get the action happening in the now towards the future. So I'm going to give you an example now of the structure. So the formula is this: it is now, insert day and date. I am, and you insert your evidence procedure, and then, and I feel XYZ, where you describe your emotional response. So here's what one looks like for me. So it is now Thursday, the 30th of May, 2024. So it has to be the specific, what the actual day and date in reality is. The reason being is we relate, every single one of us has a timeline that we relate to subconsciously. So if you can trust your subconscious and be willing to trust me for a moment, I'd like for you all to just close your eyes and imagine for a moment that the timeline that you're subconsciously, intuitively in line with, there's a part of that that stretches out in front of you towards the future, and then out towards behind you towards the past. So I'd like for you now to point in the direction of the future, where you can intuitively know where the future is. Beautiful. Yep. And then now intuitively point to where the past is. Excellent. Very good. Okay, come back and open your eyes. So some people, the timeline is, obviously in front of them, obviously in the back. Some people it's up and down, like a big loop. Others will have like, they'll relate to it like it has a stream of light. Sometimes it'll be like ball of yarn or strings of, sometimes for some people it has color, some people it has sound. So every single one of us though intuitively knows that in one direction is the future and one direction is the past. So that's our subconscious representation of a timeline. So your brain and your body and your subconscious knows when Thursday the 30th of May 2024 actually is. And if I wanted to right now, I could ask my subconscious mind to go out across my future timeline and find that day and that date, and to go down into that day and date and time in the future and install this goal there. So that's part of the process of how you actually put it into your timeline. You give your subconscious mind a prompt and it goes, cool, and it just stores it out there like it knows it's coming. So for me, the evidence procedure for this particular goal, so I know that for my personal business to get up and running and for me to have what I need to be able to transition out of my day job and into my business full time, I need another new client. And I need that booking by May so that by 30 June, I can finish out the financial year as an employee and I can step into the new financial year as a full-time owner and operator of my business. So I know I need another new client, a significant booking that will return me enough of a lump sum to then kickstart that venture and also give me a pipeline of an ongoing income from that new client. So I've already got one client that I secured and have a retainer relationship with them. I want another one of those. So for me, the evidence procedure is I'm looking at an email from a client saying, yes, let's go. Like, approved, we're locking in with the start date. So in the email, I can see the words, accepted, start date, this date. And I'm like, great. It's literally like done. So it's a snapshot in time. If I was sitting at my computer here and Cassandra walked in, she could walk past, she could read that email and she knows, yep, that's actually happening. That's a real thing that's happening in reality. So that's the thing about the evidence procedure, is this idea that it's a snapshot in time where categorically an alien from outer space could come down and go, yep, that's real, that's tangible. So that's what you're looking for there. And then the final piece is how you feel about it. And that's where your life force energy and your charge comes in. And this is what Zoe was talking about too, around the goal has to come from you and your level of motivation and how connected you are to it and how excited you are by it. And the level of emotion behind it is what drives the action. If it belongs to someone else, or you're doing it because you think it's what you should do, your subconscious will take you out of the game because it'll just go, nah, not real. Likewise, if you set a goal that is unrealistic or that you don't genuinely believe you're confident in doing or actually will come to fruition, again, your subconscious mind will protect you. It's what it's designed to do. It will take you out. It'll say, no, don't believe in that goal. It'll just delete it. Make sense? So this is why being able to do this process and engaging your whole being is much more powerful than simply writing something down. Now, writing something down using the smarter stuff and actually just using that, absolutely nothing wrong with that process. Still a great process. Conscious mind goal setting is so much better than no goal setting at all. This is just taking it to a whole other level where you get to engage all aspects of who you are in order to propel you in the direction of your genuine heart's desire, and using some other little tricks to do it.
I think they're a nice fusion too, Fiona, what you've talked about, like sort of really nutting out what that looks like consciously. Yes. And then, fusing it with that other process.
Yes, infusing it with, and absolutely, because that alignment and that congruence that happens, that is much more closely aligned to what the universe has planned for you as well. And so the likelihood of you successfully moving in that direction of that journey is much higher as well. So it takes some of the guesswork out of it because you're actually engaging your life force energy and your congruence and your intention at that deeper level.
Maybe my goals should be really supporting you to achieve your goals, so then I can have your current job when I move to Cairns. Where I develop people in leadership. What do you reckon? We just work together.
I reckon let's develop my business to a point that I can employ you.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Whoa, that sounds good.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
And let's empower a whole heap of young, incredible next generation leaders in the process, hey?
Yes.
Fiona, I was just thinking, I use a similar technique. I've always called it the art of manifestation. When I was first made a manager, they give you goals or budgets, they called them, of what you had to do. And I would just sit down and I would put down on paper that by the 30th of the month or whatever, I have
Oh, yeah.
completed
Yeah.
Mm.
this
It's-
amount of funerals and that. And I was knocking it out of the park. And when my boss rang me up and asked me, what did I do? I said, I don't think you really want to know, because I worked more on a spiritual level.
Yes. You worked with the universe, how it's designed.
Exactly. And I had another manager ring me and said, I don't think I can pray for funerals. And I said, I'm not. I said, we're still going to have them. I'm just asking the universe to allow me to serve. So,
Yes.
you know, I do the same sort of thing, and I do it even now. And I've got another celebrant that says, I don't understand how you do it. And I said, I just sit down and I just say, by the end of this month, I would have helped this many families. And you sort of have that projection in your
And
mind. This is what I'm
and the
going
intent,
to achieve.
absolutely, and the intention is there, and you can hear in Rita Marie's wording as well how she's so clear about, you know, who can I be of service to. Now, if you're very clearly putting that out, the universe is going to say yes to that.
Yes.
So, you know, like it's they're already, well, as you said, the funerals are already out there happening in the future anyway. There are people are going to pass away in the coming months. The question becomes, how many of those people is your business going to serve? And it's calling that in.
Yes.
And then, you know, and setting the intention around that, because then you also take action towards it. You have conversations with people, you put stuff out there, like because that intent, once you set that intention, you can't, like, every fiber of your being wants to go and fulfill on that, because it's automatically created the tension that you're moving in that direction anyway. So it then becomes a question of, okay, well, who do I need to talk to? What do I need to do to fulfill on that intent? So that's the process and that's the structure. Do you want to have a go? I'm also mindful that we're over 8:30. So do you want to have a go at writing your own version of this? You know, we could do that now together, or it's something that you could have a go at crafting, you know, an example goal, and then I'm happy, you know, to work with you to you know, finesse it to then install it. Or I can actually, you know, I guess my intent for tonight was to help you to actually, you know, take you through an installation process so that you know what that process is about. And then, you know, you can basically have it to be able to do it whenever you want. So that's thinking out loud on my feet now. What I could do is actually, you know, record essentially an audio for you all, where I take you through the goal installation process.
That's a
And then
brilliant
you can
idea.
then
Yeah.
you can actually access the recording. So once you're clear on what your goal is using this structure, you can then use the recording to install it.
That would be.
Brilliant.
I've got to catch up today before 9.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I love the recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have stuck around because I can see so much value in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and because it does take, you know, the figuring out the structure takes a little bit. Sometimes you'll need to just make sure, because getting the evidence procedure can be hard. So sometimes we like over explain it, or we put 4 steps, you know, in it, but you can't actually take a snapshot of 4 steps in time. You can only take it of 1 step. So it does take a bit of massaging. So how about I do that? How about I fulfill on that whole sort of process as a, I'll give you the structure, and maybe that's homework we can commit to is, you know, that you send me your version of your goals, and I'll basically say, yep, give you a tick of approval, go, yep, you've followed that brilliantly. And then, you know, here's the guided recording to actually help you install the process. Yeah.
Love it.
Brilliant.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So yeah, in the meantime, have a think about what you think the goal might be. As I said, starting simple and small is often easier than, you know, a really big one. but yeah, that sounds like a plan. I'll figure out how to make that happen. So I'm in Emerald at the moment, delivering workshops tomorrow and the day after. So this will be a Friday task for me to be able to fulfill on for you all. So keep an eye out for it later in the week or over the weekend, and I'll give you the next steps from there.
Okay, brilliant. That sounds great.
Incredible. Yeah.
Awesome. So any questions before we wrap up?
That was
Yes.
really insightful, Fiona. That, I mean, you people are always telling you got to set goals and you have to make them realistic and you have to make them timely, but you've broken it down into such a simple way that I can absorb it.
Yeah,
And I can
it's
process.
yeah, and
I think
remember
I think the feeling part, that the how
Yes.
you feel about it, is actually the really critical part. Going back to the flower shop in Paris, how does it actually make you feel after you've achieved that? Like,
Yeah.
because now you've got to work every day and be up at 4 o'clock in the morning to take delivery of those fresh flowers. You know, like that's
I'm not happy
the
at 4 o'clock in the morning.
No,
Yeah,
I was up at
that's
4
right.
getting on a
See?
bloody plane this morning. No, it's not. It's
not
unnatural.
just it's not just that seemed like, you know, a great goal, but how does it actually make you feel? And when you look at it and go, oh, actually, I don't think I want that anyway, because I don't think I feel good about that.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of that, because inside of tapping into how you feel about it, that actually tells you, like, oh, actually that's I'm trying to convince myself that that's a goal I should have, when actually I don't want it at all. Or if anything like dread or comes up, you go, oh crap, I'm actually trying to convince myself that that's the path I want to go down. It's like that, your internal intuition and your congruent yes or no internally is so powerful. And I think as women, we discount it, we squash it, when it's like such a powerful tool at our disposal, to drive genuine things that we absolutely want to create in our lives. And I think the other superpower that we have as women is the creation process. Like, I think we also underestimate the gift of the wombs we were given, and how that's how you bring forth new life, is through that womb. And often when we're creating our future and creating a life for ourselves, it's that same nurturing, bringing forth of life energy that we inherently in our creation process, like, are tapped into. And yet we don't appeal to our divine feminine in anywhere near as much as we should in the creation process. And bringing forth a business is no different to bringing forth new life. It is the same process. Tap into that incredible primal capability that is the creation process, the birthing process. It's the same creation.
I agree.
Very cool.
That's beautiful. I love it.
All right, you gorgeous creatures, you incredible divine feminine humans, go back out into that world and do amazing, crazy stuff and beautiful
Love seeing you
things.
guys.
Stay connected
Yes.
to each
See you next
other.
time.
Can I get Laura's phone
Hi.
number again, please?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll text you, Rita. I've got yours.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Because I
Bye.
don't know what I did with the email. I ate it. I'm sure.
My dog ate it.
I'll text it and I'll put it on my to-do list, which is actually only a day long,
Excellent.
to do tomorrow.
Perfect. Beautiful.
All right.
Go forth and be
you, guys.
amazing. Thank you so
Thank
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.